What's up, gang? What up, Mark?
What's up, guys? How we
Hi,
doing, Anna? How we doing?
what's going on?
Living. So,
Let's see. Let me get you off mute, Amber. There you go.
Hello.
How we
How's
doing?
everyone? Marina.
Good, good.
Hi.
Hi.
best,
Where
best,
you are in your house?
What's that?
Was trying to figure out where you are in your house, Amber.
Where am I?
Yeah, you're like sitting in a different spot, so I was like, now I see.
Now I see. You said
Now I
those
see. Can see clearly now.
moved it to the dungeon for this.
Mhm.
Do you see Brandon thing, Mike, on the seizures and stuff that he did today?
Yeah,
That was awesome.
I know. I'm proud of that kid. He's killing it.
He's amazing. He's got a great voice. He's a great spokesman. He does so much good stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, doing that DDP yoga.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's probably not as fun as goat yoga, like baby goat yoga, but
Forget that goat yoga crap.
I know. I want baby goats.
You know how much they poop?
A lot.
More than ferrets?
More than ferrets.
Really? They're just all around the house, just
And they've got they're little nuggets, so it's just, yeah.
Is part of goat yoga getting pooped on? Is that part of the process?
Great question.
I think that's actually the ultimate process.
Is that where you're going? Is that like you won goat yoga?
Winner,
Like,
winner. Winner, winner, goat poop dinner.
Oh, no. They do have a great energy. That's the beautiful thing about baby goats is they're just like so happy to bounce around and like I think that's the purpose of goat yoga. But knowing from like growing up and having baby goats being raised in my kitchen, they poop a lot.
my sister was trying to explain goat yoga to me because she was showing me pictures of their goat yoga experience, her and her husband, and I'm like, she's like, well, it just really feels good the way that when they naturally walk on you. I'm like, you know who else could do that? Like, fucking Amber.
Baby goats have the softest little hooves though.
yeah. Probably wouldn't be exactly the same. But close.
or really anybody could emulate a goat on your back. What do you think on that?
I just like how they jump straight into the air. Harold's being a bastard. I'm sorry to swear on the spiritual channel, but
Yeah, I already ruined that, so sorry guys.
I mean, goats are like wizards, aren't they? Like the ones that like can climb straight up pitched walls with no footing. They're like magicians.
sorry, Harold.
Are we still talking goats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are like mountain goats though, they climb on mountains, not like
Oh yeah.
pumpkin farm type.
Where they stand on like a cliffside and like,
Yeah. There's
you're like,
nothing.
what are they standing on? There's
Yeah.
no reason for them to be there at that
A
comfortable.
pebble-sized rock on their foot.
Well, what's up there? Like, why? What are they after?
Safety, avoiding predators. You go down to get some water and then you go back to safety.
They're getting herded that way. They're getting herded through the mountains. That's the route they chose.
Avoiding predators with tiny hooves.
That can't get up to them.
Repelling gear.
If you're really curious, I'm sure there's like a Planet Earth episode on goats, mountains, and why.
In watching goats laugh at like mountain lions that are trying to climb up to get them and falling off.
Impossible.
Yeah. Who we got? Just join us, Josh.
I don't, and unfortunately, my
Yours says
My-
John.
I can't sign on to my boxing Zoom class thing. That's why it says John Capello on there.
All right. Josh, can you hear us?
I think
Maybe not.
Josh's dog signed on.
They were squeaky toys.
Arf.
All right. Well, hope you're there, Josh. can hear us. Maybe I can't see or hear you, but
Josh's dog is there.
there they go. That was an accidental join. They'd grab the wrong Zoom on Instagram.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get into it. I think Brian's going to join us here. He was going to join us because he'd be kind of a special guest. He's everything Tom Brady. I only related to this topic today with the Super Bowl because it just happened. But to me, like, you know, I'm a Giants fan. Obviously, I don't care who won yesterday. But when I'm watching sports and I don't care who's in it, like I am like rooting for the story. What's the ultimate story that's going to come out of it or inspire out of it? And you know, yesterday was, if you're into sports or not, it was a pretty epic day for a guy that, you know, has won 6 Super Bowls, which is unheard of in that right itself. He's already one of the best players ever lived, and he's not done playing. Then he leaves that team and goes to arguably the worst team in the league. And within 1 year goes back to the Super Bowl and wins. Now, I think we talk about, you know, I want to talk about the word sacrifice and what that means. And, you know, as we talk about, like in sport world I've been in for years, it's like, you know, what do you have to sacrifice to be the best athlete there is, right? Because there always is sacrifice. The best in anything you do, any craft you do, you have to sacrifice a lot to elevate yourself above the rest, because that's what it takes. It takes a lot of work, hard work, ethic, time. You know, you can't be out doing everything else everybody else is doing, because you're putting in that time to get better than everybody else. And it's not just sport, but, you know, just the timing of the Super Bowl being yesterday. I want to talk about it because whether you know anything or not about football or Tom Brady, he's known to be one of the hardest working athletes on the planet, you know, rivaled with Michael Jordan when he played. And meaning that, you know, the way he trains, the way he goes about the game, the studies, he wasn't born a natural talent. Like he worked his ass off into the position. But I wanted to read, you know, the actual definition of sacrifice. We talk about sacrifice like, oh, giving up time with our friends, or we don't go out partying, we're training or we're working on our craft. But the actual definition of sacrifice is an act of slaughtering an animal or person or surrendering a possession as an offering to God or a divine or supernatural figure. That's pretty fucking epic of a definition to a word I think we commonly use is like, oh, I sacrificed going out with my girls this week to do that. Sacrifice, you know, as the definition lies, is pretty epic. I mean, they used to throw people into volcanoes as a sacrifice to the gods, as it's part of the bigger picture, the bigger cause. It's a sacrificial, and most of the definitions in history are tied back to some kind of religion or another sacrifice. I think it's a lot different than the way we talk about today. Of course, I mean, like I said, you know, I sacrificed my weekend to do this, or it's not quite the same. But I think the word is rooted. It's the same. It depends on what it is to you, right? What are you giving up? You know, what are you sacrificing to make a choice to do something else? And you know, I think as it relates to the game that happened yesterday, I mean, look, this guy could have tarnished his legacy that already exists to go to a team that most certainly didn't have any wins or nobody thought could win a game, let alone win the Super Bowl 1 year. And what's telling to me is not just the game and him winning, was that he got 2 guys out of retirement and an untouchable that nobody would touch in the free agency to join the team and follow him in that sacrifice and that uncertainty. 2 guys that were already career being done, talked him back into playing. Another guy, Antonio Brown, that literally couldn't get picked up by anybody. He had him come live with him in his home with his wife and his kids to put him on the right path because he believed in his skill and believed what he could do on a team with him. I think things like that. He gave up over $70 million in his contracts to free up money for the Patriots to sign different people for his roster to make a better team around him. You know, the only athlete that's done that historically is Michael Jordan. You know, he's kept his signing contract from day one all through his first 5 years so that he can free up money for the team to buy the players that he wanted around him. So sacrificing for yourself. I don't think we use that word a lot when we look at like really well off people. We're like, oh, what are they sacrificing? They're rich. Who cares? Like, again, it comes down to what are you giving up is the meaning of the word to me. What are you giving up and what's important to you, not what it looks like for others. Sacrifice comes in many forms, sizes, especially, right? So, for me, the word sacrifice, I don't think until today, I don't think I ever actually looked up the definition. When I saw like, they just start off as slaughtering an animal or human, I was like, damn, fucking aggressive. But, that's how it started back in the day. It was like, it was the ultimate doing of showing your allegiancy to whatever it was, the God or the divine nature or whatever it was. But now, like tying the game and that to what's happening now. I mean, look, sacrifice is everywhere, especially this year. I mean, how many things have been sacrificed in just this year alone, and some forced. Some decisions we've had to make and sacrifice things in our life to change the path we're on, or help somebody else, or help ourselves, with this whole thing going on. So I think it's a big time. I like to see things like that happen. The game itself wasn't important to me, but the stories behind the game are, because sport transcends a lot of things, because it's an entertainment. It's for us to watch, and it gives us a moment of setting the world down and celebrating something that's maybe not as big or as important, but it gives us an opportunity to unplug from what we're going through. So I thought in the spirit of that, yesterday was exciting to watch history happen in many ways. The coach coming back out of retirement, a lot of different things. So moving on from the game, I wanted to talk about sacrifice in general and what it means to each one of us. But, to me, I'll start with, I feel like now, I didn't feel like when I was doing it, but now that I have the ability to slow down and look backwards a lot of my life, I sacrificed a ton of shit that I thought that I was not. It's hard in the moment to see what's happening. You think you're making the right choices, but if I look at it now from 30,000 feet, I sacrificed a shit ton. Like, a lot of time with both my parents, my sister, my family, relationships. I sacrificed a lot of shit because I thought that, I was serving a bigger purpose. But, my confusion was in the fact that I wasn't serving a bigger purpose, something bigger than me. I was serving myself. And it became selfish instead of selfless. And that's what I'm in the middle of trying to change. Like, I don't want to have that feeling. I was confused where those things separated in my life. I felt like I thought I was being selfless because I saw the goal at the end, where if I got to there, then I can turn around and take care of my life and the people in it. So that for me is like what my next chapter, my season of life right now is reconciling the difference of those two and getting on the path of more selflessness so that I can be more selfish with myself to take care of myself. So anybody want to share something that maybe that they've sacrificed, or they feel like they have or want to, or maybe in the moment it's happening now? Or does anybody want to say anything on the Super Bowl?
I love this topic of sacrifice, and I really love the way you articulated what sacrifice really is, and how sacrifice can be, there's so many levels to it for different people of what it means, of what their level of sacrifice is compared to somebody else's, but that shouldn't be compared. It's the same way with somebody's trauma that they've experienced. You can't compare their trauma to somebody that's experienced something that objectively might look like oh, that's way, they experience real here. Like, it's like, okay, they got raped 3 times, you only got raped once. It's like, you can't do that,
Right.
like that makes no difference. And then when it comes to the trauma stuff or the sacrifice, you're developing a definition of trauma. My definition of trauma, I would say, and then I'll shut up, is giving up something that you don't have to for something you believe in that you know that you're going to get nothing in return because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And there's a million different ways to do that. I think you put that very well. Like, that could be your time, it could be your money, it could be your old clothes, it could be serving overseas in the military, it could be, volunteering at a blood drive. There's a million different ways you can sacrifice things. And the only benefit is knowing that I did a good thing.
Yeah. Believing in the cause of it, right?
Yeah.
Love that.
I can touch on that. The first thing I wrote down to myself while you were talking about that definition is, it's not what are you giving up, it's what are you giving. When you're talking about what you're giving up, you're going into the commodification factor of time and how we put a value on it, because time is money. And if you stop looking at it that way, it's all a matter of what you're giving and how it makes other people feel. And it may, seem like a sacrifice in the immediate present moment when you're doing it, but it shouldn't weigh on you to make sacrifices. When you're talking about the true definition, it shouldn't be heavy to be making sacrifices.
Yeah, I love that too. I before, Amber, I know you want to say something. We talk a lot about in these past ones about definitions and what they mean. And I always look up definitions of a topic we're talking about so we can read what it is that the world has told us it is today. But we've said this a lot. Like, there's a lot of words that could be changed in the dictionary as we evolve as human beings. I always believe, like school we went to and the books are the same for 10 years. Why is that? Like, nothing's changed in 10 years, like history, I think ever evolving and changing, that things always have to be looked at. And this one really got me. When I looked at the definition, I was like, dang, maybe we should alter that just a touch. Like, nope, we're not throwing people in volcanoes anymore. Go ahead, Amber.
Well, there's so many levels. I can't even. I don't even have to get stoned anymore. This is the greatest part about my life at this point, because like normally it would be like, smoke a joint and have this conversation. You could just go in a million directions. You don't even have to do that anymore, because there are such weight to the words, right? So sacrifice, I think of so many things at once, just in this group right here with the people I'm looking at, and what I know you've each individually sacrificed in different moments in your life, for family legacy, for breaking cycles for our country, and the altruism of serving for freedom, something that's this intangible thing, like yourself, Mark, and then taking it back to whether we're talking about Jesus or, like Michael, you and I have talked about 1,000 times, any real prophet that's walked the earth, that no matter who it was, and good or bad, we know that even Michael Jordan, who's the king of basketball, is just a dad who has been divorced and maybe a couple of his kids hate him. Or Gandhi wasn't the best husband, but really was dedicated and sacrificed for his cause. And Martin Luther King, and all the different people who have sacrificed before us, including Jesus, just as one. But thinking about altruism, like to what Marina said and what Mark said about just the giving part, it's like, we're supposed to ultimately give to receive nothing, right? That's what sacrifice is supposed to actually be. That's altruism, is, the anonymous donor, not having to be patted on the back or anything, that we do it for the sake of humanity. But then we've got, like, when we look at Chinese or Ayurvedic medicine, we look at like extremes, right? And extreme personalities. I also thought when you were talking about it, like, these bombers, the people that strap the bomb to themselves and are willing to be the pilot that dies for
Mhm.
their country or for God or for Allah, because they believe that the opposite kind of what Christianity taught us, that if I am the one to sacrifice, then I'll be rewarded in heaven. Whereas here, suicide and that kind of thing is actually, from a Christian standpoint, is actually a mortal sin. So there's so many levels of sacrifice, not just the small day to day. And it's a really interesting topic. And I wonder how many of those people, when you said they would throw people into the volcano, I was thinking to myself, well, why would they throw other people in? Like, why didn't they jump in? Like, why they're like, well, we're going to sacrifice Joe, but I'm not going.
So like, let's go back to
another virgin or whatever.
Yeah, another big one for me is I studied a lot in high school and I went in college, and then I actually traveled there to Germany and Poland, a lot of places, to these camps. I studied World War II and Hitler, and a lot of it. I was enamored by this following, this unrelentless following of this one man and idea. Whereas people that they talked to after they interviewed didn't have an answer why. They didn't have a belief system behind it, like why they were doing those things and why they were doing, they like were confused by this. It all comes down to like the ultimate sacrifice for whatever this is, human, spirit, idea, whatever it is. You can get really caught up into it. And I'm not comparing my journey but like that's how I felt. I felt that I was guided by a light that I never even questioned the light of it. Right. And I think sometimes we do, as humans, we look for leaders. We're leaders and followers. We can't all be leaders. We can't all be followers. We're looking for something to lead us. And sometimes we don't question that. Did you want to say something, Mark?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think when sacrifice to me is a very important term, and I really like the way that where you're going at it with it. But I believe that sacrifice is a action, not something that you post on Facebook. And but we have to accept that we live in 2021. Everything's online. That's the reason we're all connected now. There's good and bad to it.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Even if it's something I don't. This is just my personal opinion. Even if it's something I don't agree with, whether it's a protest or whatever, if you're doing that, I respect the hell out of that. Like that's you're acting. Like what are you actually doing? What are you sacrificing?
Let's talk on that. I like that, because to me, I think about uncertainty with sacrifice. I think about, when you think about the heaviness of the word sacrifice, you think, am I willing to sacrifice something? You ever questioned yourself to say, am I willing to sacrifice something? Am I willing to sacrifice my own freedom to go serve my country? That's a big one. Like, and then what's the uncertainty by that? Is it scary, or are you committed because you're all in and there is no uncertainty? I think to ease the heaviness of the word, I feel like you need to be really good with yourself, showing the example, modeling the example, and over a long-term period of time. Like, this has always been you. It's not right now that you sacrifice everything. It's always been a part of you. The calling is in front of you, whether it be for your country or for God or for your family. The calling shows up, but it's not a huge sacrifice in the moment if you've been a consistent person over a bigger chunk of time. It is just now calling you and you're ready for it. So the readiness takes out the uncertainty of sacrifice. And I think sometimes, I'm guilty of this. I don't even recognize it, because I've been always doubting my own consistency. Right. And when I've doubted my own consistency and anything great that I'm doing, or that I'm actually on the good path of like being a consistent person, then I kind of miss those spots where I'm going to make this decision. I'm certain about it. There is no sacrifice, to me. So I know you can relate to that, Mark. I mean, I think that's a I don't know that if I got called to serve, in a country in battle like that, I don't know that I would make the decision. And I
wouldn't,
don't think
and
it's good or
thank
bad,
God
but
you
I think
would,
I could do
Mark.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I hope that in no way that I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm just trying to relate to the conversation.
Oh, 100%.
But I really appreciate the words. But I just think that I love the way you put it. We gotta identify the level of the sacrifice in our own lives, right? Like, what am I willing to give up for this? How much do I believe in this cause what am I like? It's like, here's the cause. How important is that to me? How much am I willing to give up? Because there's going to be a gap.
Yeah. And I think I went a little bit big on that and heavy, but look, it's as simple as a relationship. You meet a girl.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Like, am I willing to give up how I am? Or am I willing to change anything? Or am I willing to lean in? And, that's where the selfish and selfless were like teeter-tottering in my life. It's always been like, well, it's about me first. If it's not me, then I can't be good to you. But I was more on the selfish side of that conversation. Like, I was saying it, but I was like being really selfish.
But that also comes from what we've all discussed many times together is the imprints put on us and where we have to claw our way out of, depending on where we come from or what we've been through or where our experience base has been. What starts out as a really good intention to change our life, break, hey Brian, to break, old patterns, learned behaviors, all these kinds of things. We start out with a good intention, right? Your intention was, I'm not going to be like everything I've seen. I'm going to break all of those type of social, things, labels or whatnot. But then it becomes an entitlement thing because, we started out because we want to succeed so that we can go back and change it for everyone else. But then when you get caught up in it, and I mean, it starts as young as, third grade and high school and things when you decide who you're going to sit with at the lunch table. Like, are these people shallow or are these people something of worth? And it keeps going all through life. For me, the answer to the question is I could not go to war and fight for my country. Now, if I could fight with words, I would, but I don't want to I don't want to get hurt or anything. And I don't want to walk in like wet boots for miles and all this. But my daily sacrifice is popularity. My daily sacrifice is not being popular or not always being liked by every single person or, my own personal ego. Like, I refuse to conform in like just my personal, it seems small and maybe it seems, I don't know, it sounds pompous almost hearing myself say it, but I think that's been my sacrifice throughout life is to not walk the same line as everyone else. Because if I did that, I could be a great criminal. I could be an awesome scumbag. I could be a great drug addict. I could be so many things, really.
An awesome
but instead I'm usually alone, stuck with my existential dilemma, writing about it and talking to people like you guys. So it's like it is that in itself is some kind of a sacrifice, interestingly enough, in some way. But ultimately it feeds humanity. I hope like that's the legacy too. The sacrifice and the legacy, are they tandem?
Yeah, no, it's everything. Like, sacrifice is anything and everything. It is. I mean, it's time. It's your character. It's friends around you. It's your family. It's everything. I mean, all of us. Brian just joined here. One of my best friends here. He's in Atlanta.
Hey guys.
Brian, we're to catch you up. We're talking about sacrifice, but I started off talking about the Super Bowl and just how a little bit. Brian, I wanted him to come earlier because he's the ultimate. He knows everything about Tom Brady. But I was telling him about yesterday, just about how his journey's gone, and when it comes to sacrifices in the sport world, and then how it relates to us just in our journeys. But we were just talking about sacrifices in our own lives and what it takes to make a decision where you have to sometimes you have to choose. When I left home, Brian left a lot sooner than me. He left the second he graduated high school, and he decided that he wanted to go and do something different and break a pattern of his life and his life. And he's gone on and done great things. I mean, you're going to retire soon, right? I mean, he's going to be a young retired dude.
Yeah.
So But you sacrificed leaving your family, right? I mean, you left everybody behind.
Yeah, I had to give up, Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff to have this. So, it's, there's always negatives that come with big positives.
Yeah.
That's what I learned for sure.
And
You wouldn't trade it, but there's looking back on it, it's been tough to deal with when you think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was mentioning before he came on that, like in my journey of leaving too and trying to chase the idea or the dream that I wanted, I gave up a lot of things, family time, and you and I joke about it all the time, like being this old and single, it's like but we sacrifice a lot for work and what we're chasing to do so, and it's not always easy.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to make a quick reference to like an Olympic athlete, like especially the child Olympians. I mean, holy crap. I mean, how many hours?
You get that when you see me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of when I saw you was child Olympian. But no, I mean, think about the sacrifices they make in all the ways that like most kids are so worried about, if they can have the cool pair of sneakers or the right jeans. And these kids they don't get to talk on the phone or probably even have a cell phone. They're made to be in a gymnasium, perfecting their trade, not unlike Tom Brady or Jordan or, anybody, classical pianist, for, 9, 10, 13 hours a day, every day for most of their life, two decades or something or more, or 3,
Yeah.
So it's all about what we want and who we're trying to serve, whether that's God or humanity or ourselves or our family or a team or.
If anybody's interested, you look up a movie called Weight of Gold. Whether you like sports or not, it's an interesting take on what we don't know of sacrifice. It's called The Weight of Gold. I can't remember what network, maybe HBO. It's really just an insight of a bunch of Olympians, decorated Olympians, came forward and talked about
documentary
the depression that comes with the isolation of training at the highest level to literally represent your country in the sport. 4 years of perfecting your craft and get 30 seconds and it's over. And the crashes they have of depression immediately after it's over for the year, because then what? There's nothing. And want to say something, Mark?
Not interrupting. Go on.
Oh, no. I thought you were waving your hand. But anyway, watch the movie. Or documentary. Sorry. It is literally heavy. It's The Weight of Gold. It's an eye-opening because, Apollo Ano's on there, Michael Phelps, like Shaun White, some of the most decorated people talking about wanting to kill themselves.
Yeah. Well, even when, to be perfectly honest, until I met Carolina and saw the inside world of even the PGA and LPGA and things like that, I did not know that their lives were not on like a music who you think are like rock stars have it so great. They are going from hotel room to hotel room to hotel room for maybe $500 a night and a bottle of Jack Daniels. And they're completely isolated. They're completely alone. They're 350 days on the road in a room by themselves in a car with people they don't like, not with their friends, not in a relationship. Yep. We don't see any of that. All we see is,
that never gets told.
Yeah. What's interesting is, I've been blessed enough to be around the sports world and understand some of these insights of these guys and see them outside of their posts, that we get to see the glamour life that we envy so much. And there's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of questioning, doubt. There's a lot of, Tiger Woods' boat in Jupiter is called isolation. I mean, he felt like that for a long time. I mean, look, it's not always the greener. It's the balance. It's hopefully that we get through all this and we try to balance our lives and not just look for things we fully don't understand.
Did you end up seeing both parts of that documentary?
Yeah.
The apple didn't fall too far from the tree, which no one ever really knew.
Yeah.
Even thinking about Jesus, when Jesus died, how old was he? 38?
32 or 38, something like that.
Okay, so prime life, prime part of his life to have children, and like everything that he preached was like get a family, get a wife, have babies, go to church, like right, the whole thing. I mean, he sacrificed all of that. That's another, odd thing I thought about the other day.
Yeah, and where
Obviously,
did I get him?
the ultimate sacrifice, but it's interesting.
Well, I was joking. Amber said that to me the other day last week, and I said, well, wouldn't be that hard being Jesus when God's your dad, free rent. But no, I mean, the sacrifice is right. God's the one that sent y'all as a sacrifice, but
But
I
I think I don't want to interrupt. Sorry, but
Go
I
ahead,
think
go
the
ahead.
sacrifice is internal, and that's dependent on that individual person as far as what their level of sacrifice is
Hell yeah.
and how important. Like, so when you're acknowledging the fact that you're sacrificing things, you're saying, I care about this enough. You have to make a conscious decision to be like, I want this enough that I'm willing to lose this.
Yes.
You know what that makes me think of? Every single one of our mothers. I mean, the ultimate sacrifice, right? Like our moms, all of our moms in this particular chat
They could have
loved
died.
us, loved us so much that they sacrificed all the rest of their happiness to love us.
Sure.
Like, yeah, like I have enough hope that this is a good thing
yeah.
that I'm willing to sacrifice my life or whatever. It doesn't need to be life. You can step down from that.
Passions,
I can
joys.
this money, this house, whatever, like whatever it is, whatever you're willing to sacrifice is based off of the level of importance of that.
I mean, I don't have kids. I don't know if Mark, if you do, I mean, nobody
I
else.
do not, so I don't know what the hell
Well,
I'm talking.
none of us have kids here,
Yeah.
but I can tell you that if I had to have did what my parents did at the young age and like have a kid and then have another kid and give up any idea what I was trying to do just now in the past 10 years, I would have driven me crazy. Like with the thoughts that I have and what I wanted to chase and what I wanted to do, because I know me, I would have sacrificed all that and just took care of my kid and try to be the best dad. But I would have give up a lot. Now I would have gained a lot. So, what is it?
Personal freedom has a lot of weight.
Right.
And also depending on where you are in life and what your situation is at that time. Like,
Yeah.
these things can change, right?
Anybody can be a parent, but not everybody can be a mother or a father. You know what I mean?
All right.
100%. 100%. We can vouch for that. We have a couple minutes left here. We have 2 minutes, almost 1 minute left here. So I don't want to get too far into anything else, but yeah, as you know, we do this every Monday, but now that the Zoe ones come back, every other Monday will be more about Zoe and going into their message and stuff. And then every other one will be this one. It'll be more of a real talk, real raw and flawed.
Why is it 1 or 2 minutes left? You just get a certain block of time?
Yeah, it's like 40 minutes on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk after this?
This is my first Zoom call.
I know. Me and Brian usually are on the phone for like 2 hours at times. So he's like, whoa.
And are you in front of a chalkboard or something cool? What are you sitting in front of?
Yeah, it's a chalkboard. No, it's just a big
Go
piece.
for their questions.
Yeah.
Just a huge piece. That's steel.
Yeah, he sacrificed a huge paycheck for that piece of art.
Like, can all of you, like, I can only see you, and then it keeps changing. Can everybody else see everyone?
Yeah,
No,
you
you have to put on
Gallery view.
just change the view in the top right corner next time. You can see everybody at once.
gallery view. You can only see who's talking.
If you do speaker view, you can only see who's talking. All right, gang. Listen, next Monday, same time. I appreciate y'all. I love you all. I appreciate you guys sacrificing the time to spend it with me. See what I did there?
All right.
Love y'all.
Thanks for sacrificing for putting it on there.